Hello everyone, and welcome to week 2 of Technology in the Classroom. I'd like to just start this week off by expressing my gratitude for all of you that have been communicating with me email-wise in regards to questions that you've had with whether it be the YouTube search stories, the Voki, or just how to get your stuff to appear on the blog. Now, I understand that that's one of those situations where, sometimes being in a class is much better, but I will applaud you, pat you on the back, however you want to look at you, compliment you on being very resourceful, not being ones that were always asking questions and feeling like you needed to have your hand held throughout the whole process. You did a good job of troubleshooting, working through things, trying to figure it out, and then if you were really hung, getting with me, and that's great, and that's what I want to see. Now, as you see here, this is where we've been posting some of the group discussions as far as, or I shouldn't say group discussions, excuse me, but reflections on your writing, as well as your introductories using the Voki or search stories. Now, as you know, the search stories, 35 seconds, those are very brief, but my objective or my goal vision of using that was to use that as an introduction video, and then in your blog post provide maybe a little more in-depth explanation of who am I. So, first week you guys are trying to get used to how I am. I'm trying to get to know you. So I'm not going to be as worried about these first blog posts, because as the weeks go, I have a strong feeling that things in your writing, your blog posts, your reflections, discussions will be more in-depth, more thoughtful or insightful to what you're thinking and what your beliefs are, philosophy will be for your own classroom. So my challenge to you from this point on is that when we are posting reflections out here on the blog, keep in mind this is beginning of your digital footprint. So what foot do you want to step forward with? Do you want to put your best foot forward and really provide somebody, an administrator out there, what your thought process is, give them an insight to you? Because if you think about this, an advantage to having a digital footprint is that when they do start coming down to, who do I want to go with? Person A, person B? Well, person A, all I see right now on this is this paper where person B, here's their resume, they filled out our questionnaire, but here's a link where I could go and learn more about them. Think about that, putting your best foot forward, and what might actually get you put at the top of the pile instead of in the middle or the bottom of the stack. So those are the reason and the vision behind why I want this. And again, I challenge you to be more insightful, more in depth, and thought-provoking in your reflections or in your writings. So that's my challenge. Let's take a look at week 2. And week 2, like I said, and the last one is I'm going to focus on collaboration and social media and education. If you remember the 4 C's that I introduced to you that are 21st century skills, and we'll talk about this more and more when we get into the ISTE net standards, which you need to become familiar with, quite familiar. But the 4, again, are critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. We're going to look at the collaboration and the communication side of things this week. You've already done a little bit of creativity. You had to go create using some options that I like to provide. Create a digital story introduction of who am I in regards to yourself, and then create and write a blog post. Well, week 2, we're not going to do so much as create a project like a search story of Voki, but what you're going to do is you're going to explore resources and some reflections that I've collected and compiled in a Live Binder, which is a 3-ring virtual notebook. And what you're going to do with this is you're going to look through those resources and you're going to start your own personal learning network or professional learning network. It's a PLN, PLCs, and again, the difference really is how you want to say terminology. P could be personal or professional, but the L will always be learning. Then you can use N for network or C for community. And that's just the way you're going to hear it. So when you see somebody talk about PLNs and PLCs on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Plurk, different social media, social networking type resources, you're going to be able to have an understanding of what they're talking about. So let me start off this week with this video from a friend of mine, Kevin Honeycutt.
In the 27th row of a college class, she was working real hard and trying to pass. She studied all night for the test she took, but she couldn't use the notes on her own MacBook. He told him the note cards were all he needed, and it wouldn't change his mind even though she pleaded. The dark red F was no surprise as the tears formed in her eyes. Said the kids are changing and if you can tell, and the way that you teach them has to change as well. You might not like it cause we grow up fast, but prepare us for the future and not your past. And there's not 1 minute to run, oh yeah. And I need my teachers to learn. Detention hall, there's a quiet young man at home low with a phone in hand. The time to tell his parents about the school's outreach, cause he tried to post the essay on his Facebook page. He's hoping more people could have read those words as an audience of one. Well, it's so absurd. Whatever happened to compromise? He said the school should realize. Oh, the kids are changing and if you can tell, and the ways that you're teaching has to change as well. You might not like it cause we grow up fast, but prepare us for the future and not your past. And there's not 1 minute to run. We need our teachers to learn. Third grade room in a tiny town, a little blue-eyed girl was feeling down. She tried to bring her daddy to a show and tell he was gonna Skype in just to wish them well. She showed him the camera on her mom's netbook, but they wouldn't let her do it on the school network. Oh, that man in camo never called. They got him blocked by the firewall. Said that things are changing and if you can tell, and the way that you're teaching has to change as well. You might not like it cause we grow up fast, prepare us for the future and not your past. And there's not 1 minute to run, oh nowhere. I need my teachers to learn. The world is changing like it's always been. Any kind of updates after every now and then. If you wanna keep your version, well that's okay, but there's too many kids that need the tools of today. It's not a problem, you can start real small, and a baby doesn't walk until he learns to crawl. If the teacher's not a learner till the day they die, well then I'm asking this, and why should students try? Oh yeah. They need their teachers to learn. Yeah. We want those teachers to learn. Oh yeah. So come on, teachers, and learn.
Alright, as you see there, Kevin finishes the video up by asking, what will you learn today? And as you noticed in the video, there was tons of different things taking place. Skype, teachers collaborating, students on the floor, brainstorming. If you also notice in that picture, there was no real technology around there, but that's the big piece of this, is people want to look at technology in the classroom as always being nothing but in front of a computer, and then that's not true. 21st century skills, the net standards, are again talking about collaboration, Yeah, we're going to be able to learn to collaborate through IM, Skype, face-to-face, those virtual connections, the social networking. But again, critical thinking. How do you communicate? Can you make your point understandable and get your thought, your voice out there to where people understand, can get a true picture of you? These are all skills that are going to be required in the 21st century because, as you know, we're in a global competition here. We're competing for jobs locally that are being sent elsewhere. The world is starting to flatten. And that's a great book to go out and read. The World is Flat. But, here is a typical picture, and let me enlarge this for you, is these pictures were done by Alec Carosa out of Canada. Two great pictures that I'm kind of use to focus on. Typically most of us today, or teachers that have been at this for a while, this is the way we're connected. We have our curriculum documents, we have our worksheets, we have our tests, we have our textbooks, we have our colleagues in our building, or if you're in a very large school, it may be just the people across the hall from you because, especially at the high school area, you become so content focused that you're just worried about what's going on in your room or in your department. Popular media, television, the radio, digital print, and resources, that's becoming more and more common. Your ebooks, your textbooks online. And again, the typical network, you're going to have your family. Family should come first. One thing with all the stuff that we have here at school, we're a family. You have your personal family. You have your community as a family, depending on, the society around. Here in Sterling, we're a very small community, and it's a very liberal arts, religious type community for the most part, compared to the previous community I had worked in for 14 years. They don't have that community tie for there being such a different, diverse culture in that community. And that kind of drives some situations. Now, a 21st century type person, or educator in this case, you could see on this diagram, the connected teacher. Here's the whole wealth of items. Blogs, we've kind of introduced you to that. I briefly introduced you to the wikis with the one that I use for my face-to-face class. And if you haven't looked at that, I encourage you to explore it. And we'll get into some more resources about that. Video conferencing, again, think back into the video from Kevin where we're talking about Skype, where the student wanted to Skype in with students. My students I've worked with have, like I told you last week, we've Skyped with teachers and high school students across the country. Local teachers have had their students do math problems with kids in Illinois or Virginia. We've had some that have done a kind of like a where am I? A geography game with students in Wisconsin. We've had teachers, elementary students that are in North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, had books read to them by high school students here. So there's a lot of way to video conference and video connect, and you're using technology, but where's the learning taking place? It's in the communication, the collaboration amongst the people that are on both sides of that. So there's stuff going on beyond just the use of technology. You could see social bookmarking, sites like Digo and Delicious. I'll briefly introduce Digo to you next week as we start talking about compiling, collecting resources, and evaluating Web 2.0 tools and stuff that you want to make sure that you have accessible to you, and you'll be given some stuff to go out and evaluate them, and then your blog post next week, or week 3, excuse me, is going to be one that you talk about 3 different resources or websites that you learned about, and you're going to reflect on them and how you're going to use them. What are the benefits? What would you like to see improved on them? And get you to start evaluating resources. And like I said, I'll give you a plethora, and I'm just going to be looking for 3, but I'm getting ahead of myself. And as you guys notice, I will become very passionate about this, and there'd be times I will get ahead of myself. But again, it's the passion that I have for wanting to work with teachers and students and give them the opportunity to see what's out there in the real world, very authentic learning, and bring in those resources rather than those textbooks or the encyclopedias that have been on the shelf that need to be dusted off. But this is the whole thing, is this week we want you to go out there and connect and find ways to connect and start developing your PLA and PLC. So this is more of a much more hands-on, go out and explore type thing rather than just read a book, answer questions, and let's move to week 3. I want you to go out there, take your time, explore, and have fun doing this. So those are the type of things that you see in a connected teacher. So off of that, let's go down here to week 2. I have a video right here on how you're going to register for Edmodo. Up here, I stand corrected. I should have a link up here for Edmodo under the class resources, and I'll make sure I'll get that put there for you. By the time you watch this video, it'll be there. But under Edmodo registration, it's just a little video on showing you how to register. The site that we will be using is going to be this site right here, where it's sterling.edmodo.com. It will be giving you kind of a look of a Facebook, as I've explained before. And this is where we're going to hold or carry on our conversation for this week. And that's going to be talking about week 2 discussion. You're going to read the global connections in my PLN story and how to create a professional learning community. This is going to be our discussion, a kind of starting point of where do you feel? How comfortable do you feel starting one? What are the things that you want to see in your PLN? You know, don't just connect with somebody because they're there, but find how you connect with them. To be honest with you, you know, here's another situation of a PLN. I have never met Lori Corte, who's back in Michigan, face to face. However, Feathered Flowers, as we know, are on Plurk, Twitter, Skype. She is, like I said, back in Michigan. She presented at the Illinois Computers in Education Conference in Chicago 2 years ago. Well, at that conference, she was there face to face. She Skyped me in, and we did a presentation at this conference together on open source in education. And open source, for those of you who don't understand that, are applications that are out there that are not managed or supported by Microsoft, Apple, all of those. It's a community that develops them and writes them and supports them and improves them. Whether they're applications, websites, resources, whatever. But in turn, a month later, at the MACE conference, which is the Mid-American Computers in Education Conference we have here in Kansas every March, I'm the face-to-face. She Skypes in. But again, like I said, we get to know each other through our PLN, so that's the power of that. Gives you some great examples. But there's going to be these 3 questions here that I'm going to put in Edmodo, and you guys will be able to respond to those and then respond to your classmates all in the Edmodo side. Where last week in week 1, you responded to them in a blog post, and then you're supposed to go back and leave comments to your classmates' blog posts. And that way you get a learning environment, or you get to learn and experience communication on the public side in a blog, and more of a private side on Edmodo. So you get both sides of the picture, but yet you're learning to communicate and express your thoughts and be positive, supportive, but yet give that critical feedback that may be what's needed to get that person over the hump and really being a great writer. So those are what we're looking at for the week 2 discussion. Scroll back down here to week 2. Now, Insight and the matrix, these are not a matrix that I'm going to use to evaluate you. This matrix and Insight gives you more understanding to what Edmodo is. And the matrix kind of shows you how you could use it as a group from one level as a group to another level as an individual. And these are matrices that are shared by teachers globally. The writing assignment week 2, basically what you're going to do towards the end of this is you're going to take a little digital age survey. Now, where this digital age survey how-to video, you want to watch this before you click here and do this. Now, I'll be honest with you, the software proficiency inventory, it's 2% of your grade, but when you get your scores, the results on the loading page, which is explained in the video, you're going to go, oh my goodness, I scored a 2. The national norm for teachers scoring on this is a 2 to a 3, because all of the questions are going to talk about authentic learning, communication, collaboration, critical thinking on a 21st century scale. So when you take that survey, I want you to take it with the approach of, how am I going to do this in my room? This is how I want to handle it. So picture yourself in the classroom. After watching the video, register, take that survey. Do not panic whatsoever over the scores. I'm going to go ahead and in Edmodo put a thing in there where you could take a snapshot of your score and post it so I can see it. But the big thing is again, I want you to see this digital age survey, because this is being used nationally. There's school districts across the state of Kansas that this is what they use to survey their teachers yearly. There's states like Rhode Island and New Jersey that have adopted this survey statewide for all teachers. So this is just another way of getting you exposed to stuff that's being currently used. And again, the key word is exposed. I'm not expecting you to know all of it or be familiar with it. If you do, awesome. You're already got one big step forward. So you will do that in a blog post. Basically, you're going to talk about how you felt taking the survey. What did you feel about the results? And then also in there, to tie in the PLN PLC pieces, is when you're talking about how you felt and how you feel, think of ways to maybe improve yourself. You could tie in your PLN and PLCs and say, you know, one way that I plan on trying to improve myself as an educator and evaluate out better on this type of survey is I'm going to communicate, I'm going to collaborate, I'm going to learn from my peers and from the educators globally. And you could talk about some of them that you're going to start following and connecting with, or some of those learning communities that you've joined. And now you go, well, where's all this information at? Great question. Right here, you're going to click on PLNs and PLCs. This is going to take you to this site right here. This is what we call a live binder. It's a 3-ring virtual notebook. Each one of these across the top are called tabs. Well, in these tabs, these links down underneath are going to be your sub-tabs or links out to other additional information. So, for example, what is social media? Well, here it is defined in Wikipedia. Now, I know most of your professors don't believe in Wikipedia, but I believe in Wikipedia. I have no problem with it being cited as a source. Now, you know, one thing is you want to make sure you have some other supporting sources, but Wikipedia is created by you, by me, by the rest out there that are going to be very factual and very solid about it. A lot of the time when you're on Wikipedia, you're going to get a message across there. Sometimes it says that it's short some resources that support the points that are put up there, which means they're getting better at wanting you to support what you're putting up here, so it becomes more of a true resource. Now, I do want you to take a moment when you get time, watch these videos of social media and social networking. This is awesome. I use in plain English a lot of the time to explain a point or explain a topic because it's exactly what they mean in plain English. In other words, layman terms instead of the big scholarly technical terminology. We're going with plain English, just layman terms, which is basically how I am. So take advantage of these and see what they're about. Here are the resources. These are different blog posts that I have, except for this one. This is called a voice thread. Well, a voice thread...
Okay, guys, on Thursday of this week...
A voice thread is a digital storytelling tool, or as you see here, look at all of these people, educators, administrators across the globe that have responded to Steven Anderson. Now, Steven Anderson's one gentleman that is a great resource out on Twitter, and a lot of this stuff in this binder are his. And he's Web 2.0 Classroom on Twitter, and if you're not following him when you join, make sure you follow him. The big thing here is I want you to be introduced to a voice thread, but it's not voice thread that I want you to pay attention to. I want you to listen to these points and these comments by these folks of why you need a personal learning network. You know, if you look at my digital footprint, I wouldn't have it if it wasn't for my network. I just recently was chosen as one of 5 Discover Education Network gurus. There was hundreds of people who applied. We had to go through a selection process, and they narrowed it down. Then there was another round that was the final round. There was 12 finalists, and then we had to do a presentation on Illuminate, a webinar basically, for 25 to 30-minute webinar on why we're a guru, and we had to do a presentation on the topic that we submitted as part of our application process. And I very fortunately was chosen as one of the 5, and there were Kathy Schrock. If you're not going to follow Kathy Schrock, you need to change your mind and do so. Jennifer Wagner from California. Now, Kathy Schrock's out of Massachusetts. Jen Wagner, if you look projects by Jen, awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. They're great global collaborative projects or hands-on projects that you could do in your classroom. Just awesome stuff. Cynthia Lukowski, great lady, does a lot of global collaboration. And another lady out of Wisconsin that does a lot of the global projects, but also a lot of project-based learning, PBL. So again, just check the stuff out, please. I can't speak anymore or any longer. I keep going and going and bore you. But making connections, I've provided you up here ways to go out and find, because you're probably going, okay, how do I find these people? Well, for example, here's Twitter for Teachers. Go look through this whole list, see how it's categorized for you. Click on a category and then see who's in there. So for example, if I'm an art teacher, I'm going to click on art teachers. What art teachers are on Twitter? Wow, look at his collection. Now I could click on them, go to their page after creating my account and doing that. Now, Cybrarian, this guy's awesome. We had him Skype in to our face-to-face class this spring, and he talked about how does he evaluate resources to put on his, basically it's a Cybrary library. It's awesome. He's a retired librarian, retired educator for 30 plus years, and does tons of stuff. Here's some other stuff. If you click on My PLN Stars, he's going to give you a list of people by category, a curriculum area to follow. Just extremely awesome resources that he's got here. Plurk. Now, it's one of the lesser known ones. It is like this. You can see my timeline, and what's really nice about Plurk is, for example, here's Teacher Ricks. Do you know who David Warlick is? Do you listen to his podcast? My presenter's talking about him. And see, it's a threaded discussion where Twitter it's going to look like this, where I'm using TweetDeck and I've got columns. All responses from all the people I follow show here. Anytime my name is mentioned or my username is dmance7, it's here. Personal private direct messages are here. Facebook feeds are here. And then hashtags. To just briefly, excuse me, touch on hashtags, you'll use a pound sign with some words afterwards. And back here on that resource that we showed you on Cyberman, right here is education hashtags. And as you can see here are hashtags for all kinds of curriculum area. Well, this NT chat, I strongly encourage you guys to follow NT chat. NT means new teacher chat. So these are new teachers out there. Some of them are pre-service students, and some of the comments are coming from veteran teachers. And it's just a great way to filter, let's say, filter what is being shared with you. EdChat is a very global, very large discussion. But this way, everything that anyone that puts anything out there that says EdChat, or like here says EdTech, you can see here is fourth chat. That's fourth grade chat. LM chat. If you're an elementary teacher, that's elementary chat. So you could see how folks are using these hashtags to help organize and get the message out to those that are really wanting to see it. So again, here are the options to choose. Twitter, Plurk, Classroom 2.0. This is a Ning. This is not a social, it is a social network, but it's a website collaborative social network. It's not Twitter. It's not Plurk. The Learning Network. These are two Nings that I'm just major part of. I'm going to put a couple more up there. Kevin Honeycutt's Podstock. There's another one out there that is I Connect, I Learn. It's another one that's kind of based here in Kansas. And then, of course, Discover Education Network. Now, this one, the link works. Just click on this. It'll take you to the website, and you can look through. But this is for Discover Education and, you know, like the Discovery Channel. If a lot of you guys watch those on TV, this is one big organization. So in all, I want you to take time this week. So therefore, not a lot to do, but I want you to explore. Start looking at the resources, thinking about stuff, and start building your PLN, your PLC. So please, take advantage of these resources. Take advantage of the week. I don't want your blog posts, or I'm not going to require your blog post with your reflection about your PLN, PLC choices and how they're going to strengthen and improve what you may have found as weaknesses in the survey. Save that till the end of the week, you know, Saturday, Sunday. Maybe you start putting some comments in your blog, you save it as a draft, just put some notes in so when you're ready to go back and compile it, finalize it, mesh it together. But take time. The biggest thing that I have seen in my face-to-face classes is people get to that assignment, they rush through it, and want to know why they got maybe a 3 out of 5 when it comes to a rubric. And I keep saying, did you take time? Did you reflect? Did you leave it alone and come back? I want to really get to hear you and know you, and so does everyone else. So again, feel free to contact me if you've got questions. I'm flying out of Kansas City on Friday for a International Society in Technology Education. It's the ISTE organization that I keep talking about. Their international conference is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but there's all kinds of events, as we call pre-conference, leading to. But trust me, I'll be monitoring my touch on the Wi-Fi. For email, I'll be monitoring Edmodo. So feel free. Join the Edmodo right away. Get in there. Be able to post comments in there. Sometimes if you got questions, maybe your classmates can answer you before I can get to you. So again, take advantage of this week. Go out and learn about those educators out there. Start following them. Be lurkers, as we say. You don't have to always automatically on Twitter and be putting comments out there. But if you join them, follow me as DMan7, and I'll introduce you to my PLN. Have a great week. God bless.